please tell me how you're out of order. You're out of order. How do they operate, trustees? How do they operate?
There were countless interactions just like this, elevated voices and heated debates about spending and the lack of a new budget.
Mayor Tiffany Henyard was a no-show for this special meeting called by village trustees, but she was still the target of scathing public comment.
I'm not going to stop until she's behind bars.
And at some point, she is going to have to answer to.
Tiffany Henyard has hit a breaking point, and things are spiraling out of control. The latest controversy? A heated meeting that Henyard held without the trustees, and it's causing major fallout. Now, in a dramatic turn, the trustees are holding their own meeting without her, and the tension is rising by the minute. Henyard, already facing relentless criticism, has found herself in the eye of the storm as trustees have publicly accused her of grossly mishandling the village's finances. This accusation has only added fuel to the fire, leaving residents more frustrated and angry than ever.
Between Dalton's embattled mayor and the board of trustees.
Trustees say the village is facing financial disaster, and they blame the mayor for mismanagement. She says this is all just political retribution. WGN's Eric Wrong live in Dalton for us this morning. Eric.
Well, good morning. The next big development in this story could come a little later this week. That is when former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot is expected to release some of her findings in her investigation into the village's finances. For months, it's been anything but business as usual at Dalton's village meetings.
People around you that wants what's best for the people, not what's best for Tiffany.
People need, and watching as this village being ran into the ground.
The fight over the village's finances continues to be at the center of this tug-of-war between Dalton's mayor and several trustees. They accuse her of overspending and mismanaging the village's money, while she and her allies accuse them of playing political games.
This village is bleeding. If these residents knew the truth, they'd hit the roof. This is targeted. This is harassment.
Board members last night voted to limit the use of the village credit cards, lay off a handful of workers, including placing the deputy police chief, Lewis Lacey, on administrative leave.
The trustees are putting their focus squarely on Dalton's finances, and the situation is growing more dire by the day. With the village's budget quickly running out, the blame is falling squarely on Mayor Henyard. Critics claim she's been recklessly spending without authorization, and the trustees have gone as far as accusing her of running a shell game with the village's funds, moving money around in ways that don't make any sense. What's even more alarming is that Henyard has been making large purchases, sometimes in the thousands, without getting prior approval. At 4:30, the money troubles continue to mount in south suburban Dalton. Recently, new welcome banners went up around the village, but the company that created them says they still haven't been paid. When the trustees voted to cancel some of Henyard's upcoming events due to financial strain, she fired back, claiming it wasn't about the events, but rather a personal attack on her. This response only fueled the growing sentiment that Henyard takes every issue far too personally, and her handling of the situation is making things worse.
Point in this 3-hour meeting, Supervisor Henyard demanded Finance Director Robert Hunt read through more than 100 line items that many trustees wanted to get rid of. For example, thousands of dollars to Amazon,
$169.99.
thousands of dollars of cakes for community events,
102 Calumet Bakery,
and tens of thousands of dollars that were allegedly allocated for the one-day event, the Taste of Thornton Township.
We just had a couple events here in the past month or so that just extraordinary amount of money was spent unnecessarily.
As for upcoming events, the trustees voted to stop a few, including House Fest and Gospel Fest. Henyard accused the trustees of acting out of spite.
And right now, you guys are operating with hatred in your hearts. You're operating out of feelings. You're not operating with things that's going on, and I don't think that's fair to us. And I don't understand why it's a problem when we got a surplus in Thornton Township thanks to Supervisor Tiffany Henyard once again.
Tiffany Henyard has reached a breaking point, and the drama continues to intensify. The latest chapter in her controversial tenure involves a heated meeting where Henyard clashed with the trustees. Now, the trustees are holding their own meetings without her, and tensions have reached a boiling point. For weeks, Henyard has been under fire for her handling of the village's finances, and things have only gotten worse as accusations of financial mismanagement continue to mount. Instead of taking accountability, Henyard has pointed the finger at the trustees, claiming they're responsible for the unpaid bills. At the same time, she has continued to spend village funds on lavish events that appear to be more about boosting her personal image than benefiting Dalton. The latest incident saw Henyard attempting to push through the Gospel Fest House Fest and bingo events, which were all voted down by the board, with Henyard arguing that it wasn't about the events, but a personal attack on her. Her defensiveness only adds to the perception that she takes every disagreement personally. Now Henyard's time as Thornton Township supervisor is being scrutinized, with her attempts to defend her actions failing to calm the growing concerns. While she claims to have turned the township's financial situation around, citing a multi-million-dollar deficit when she arrived, the board isn't buying it. Trustees have raised serious questions about her spending habits, and many believe her financial claims are a cover for her own questionable actions. The investigation into Henyard's conduct has escalated. Former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot has been called in to investigate allegations of corruption within Henyard's administration. In an attempt to deflect blame, Henyard has accused the trustees of being responsible for the village's debt, even going so far as to veto an FBI investigation into her actions. But her veto was quickly overturned, and the situation continues to spiral. Adding fuel to the fire, Henyard recently made the controversial decision to reappoint police chief Louis A. Lacey, who's currently facing bankruptcy fraud charges. The trustees argue that Lacey's appointment is illegal, but Henyard refuses to back down, further alienating herself from the board. Meanwhile, the board has had to hold meetings outside of the village hall after Henyard's supporters allegedly locked them out. It's becoming more clear by the day that Henyard's actions are only making the situation worse. In township meetings, she's had heated arguments with trustees, accusing them of running a smear campaign. But despite mounting evidence against her, Henyard has only escalated the drama. Her recent attempts to block an investigation into her financial misconduct and her defiant stance toward the trustees show that she is doing everything she can to maintain control. Meanwhile, the village continues to spiral into chaos. The trustees voted to suspend Police Chief Lacey, but he reported to work the following day, claiming that the board had no authority to place him on leave. This only added to the confusion and tension within the village, leaving many questioning Henyard's leadership and decision-making. In another instance of questionable judgment, Henyard recently appointed a new village administrator, Michael A. Smith, to a $100,000 a year position without the board's approval. Smith, who has a history of legal troubles, including allegations of sexual harassment and misconduct, has raised concerns among the trustees, yet Henyard defends her decision to hire him, claiming he brings valuable experience. However, his troubled past only adds to the mounting distrust surrounding Henyard's choices. On top of all of this, Henyard has been pushing through controversial policies, such as a law that increases fines for unkempt lawns from $75 to $500, and caye, action that has enraged many in the community. The trustees argue that this move is just another example of Henyard's disregard for the residents of Dalton, further fueling the growing public backlash. As the investigation into Henyard's spending and actions continues, it's clear that her time in office has only deepened the division within Dalton. The community's trust in her leadership is eroding, and the once strong support for her is quickly fading. The pressure is mounting, and it's only a matter of time before the full extent of her actions comes to light. Michael A. Smith, the new village administrator appointed by Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard, has a troubled past that raises serious concerns. In 2018, Smith was working as an assistant dean at Thornton Fractional High School when he was fired for sexual harassment involving a female student. Smith allegedly contacted a 15-year-old girl on Snapchat, sending inappropriate messages and making her his girlfriend. He was also accused of grooming the student with lascivious intent and showing inappropriate behavior toward a male student. This shocking history adds fuel to the fire surrounding Henyard's questionable decisions. In a stunning move, Henyard held a board meeting after the regularly scheduled one was canceled due to a lack of quorum. Despite the absence of enough trustees, Henyard still went ahead with appointing a new village administrator and a new village attorney. Trustee Jason House immediately criticized the move, claiming that these appointments were invalid and the appointees would not be paid. This bold action comes amid increasing pressure on Henyard as tensions continue to rise within the village government. This controversy also comes on the heels of a ruling from the Illinois Attorney General's office. The AG issued a binding opinion stating that Dalton had repeatedly violated the Open Meetings Act this summer. The ruling mandates that all future meetings be made convenient and open to the public, including providing adequate space for residents and ensuring that streets aren't closed off or parking restricted during meetings. This decision further compounds the growing list of legal and ethical problems surrounding Henyard's administration. The accusations against Henyard go beyond the illegal appointments. There's increasing scrutiny over her alleged misuse of Dalton's finances. Reports have surfaced suggesting that Henyard has been spending thousands of taxpayer dollars on personal luxuries, including extravagant trips and cars, which were reportedly given to herself, her mother, and her boyfriend. Despite mounting concerns, Henyard's spending habits have continued unchecked, leaving many wondering just how far her misuse of public funds will go. It seems Henyard's old ways are difficult to shake. She has shown no signs of halting her. Reckless spending, and with each passing day, her behavior raises even more eyebrows. The question now isn't just whether her spending will catch up to her, but whether her time as mayor is quickly coming to an end. The village trustees, residents, and investigators are all closing in, and the full extent of her actions will soon be exposed for everyone to see. The pressure on Henyard is mounting, and the situation continues to evolve. Stay tuned for further updates as this scandal unfolds, and don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below.